thought we had agreed on a different name.
Brian Boyle is facing his old team, the Brian Boyle Bowl.
Oh my god, okay, I gotta go do something.
Where are you going?
Definitely not unordering 1,000 Byron Phrase-off shirts.
Hi, everyone.
Austin Matthews.
Well, time for a rebuild.
This team is ruining my life. Phrase-off, it's like the move. Come on!
Leafs win! 5-0 over the Tampa Bay Lightning! Payable within 7 business days, and they paid it off in 2. And all of a sudden, the Leafs are back in a playoff spot. They've won 4 of 5, and everything is completely fine, just the way I've always said it was.
Don't watch my last video, please.
Actually, do watch it. It really helps me.
That game was like a good dinner.
Look at me, look at me. I am always excited for dinner. But sometimes you're excited for dinner, and sometimes you're excited for dinner.
Give me some mashed potatoes, hot sauce, and a generation of chicken.
What about your vegetables?
I am talking about a fantasy here. And oh, did the Leafs have a feast in this one.
You know, for all that you make fun of me for talking about Pokemon from time to time in these videos, or talking about Pokemon on the podcast, this game was very familiar to me. This game reminded me when I used to play Pokemon Blue. Ironically, Leafs taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning, who had the common courtesy to wear their black jerseys because, come on, they look the same. Because all season, the stupid Lightning. The Lightning run the Leafs show, they do it on home ice, and they even find a way to take a second round pick from them, give them another player. That player is actually useful, but somehow voodoo happens to the team, and they take over the Leafs playoff spot, and I won't have it! The Lightning have had the Leafs number. Whenever I started my Pokemon journey in Pokemon Blue, I always picked a Squirtle. Why? I don't know. Maybe it was because he could learn Surf. Maybe it was because he grew up to be Blastoise, which is just a cooler name than Venusaur. Maybe it was just because he was blue like the Toronto Maple Leafs. But I always picked Squirtle. You go to try to get your first badge, who you gotta face? Brock. Ain't no one scared of Brock, unless you picked a Charmander, which, why did you do that? Water type beats rock type, ain't no one scared of your Onix. Get out, give me the badge. You go for your second badge? Alright, now you gotta take on Misty. You gotta take on Misty, that's a little bit more challenging, isn't it? Your strongest Pokemon is a water Pokemon, you wanna get a badge, oh, you gotta go through a bunch of water Pokemon. How are you gonna do that? On the way you pick up a Bellsprout or two, maybe you even catch a Pikachu for a little bit of that thunder. Squirtle's gonna have a bit of a rough time, but you take your plant Pokemon, you take your electric Pokemon, and you kick Starmie right in the jewel. And then the Thunder Badge. When I was a kid, like a really young kid, and just started playing Pokemon, I hated trying to get the Thunder Badge. Because to get the Thunder Badge, you had to go through Lieutenant Surge's Pokemon. And if you're not following along so far, shame on you, but I promise this will all make sense in a minute. Stupid friggin' Lieutenant Surge. Every Pokemon he threw out there, didn't matter which one. Forget about Squirtle. He's gone. All the bird types you picked up because you're early on in the game, they're gone too. The plant types you picked up are slightly resistant to it, but they're not strong enough yet at this point in the game. They're gone. And then they all faint, and there you are back at the Poké Center. That is the Leafs playing the Lightning to a T. And let's acknowledge that Steven Stamkos is usually Lieutenant Surge. Sounds like he'll be back soon. He wasn't in this game, but let me go with my metaphor. In many ways, this is the Leafs against the Lightning. They're blue, they got lots of potential, and a wicked offense. But when they face the right type, like the Lightning, that offense is useless and their defense is in shambles. They fall apart, they lose, back to the Poké Center you go. But one day when I was very young, I was playing Lieutenant Surge. I was going for the Thunder Badge. Squirtle's gone, Pidgeotto is very gone, and I'm down to my last Pokemon. And all I got is this stupid little Sandshrew. And then an amazing thing happened. Raichu uses Thunder Shock! And it has no effect. Awesome, Sandshrew uses Scratch. Raichu uses Thunder Shock! And it has no effect. Oh my god, are you serious? Sometimes you discover that electric Pokemon can't hurt ground Pokemon. And sometimes you look through your lineup of Pokemon and it's not the fastest, the flashiest, or the fanciest who gets it done for you. It's Sandshrew. That's who got it done in this one for the Leafs. Roman Polak puts it on his 4th of the year. Sandshrew scores 1-0. And I was so excited that during celebrations with my dog, these fell off my face and broke. So that's gonna be an expensive day tomorrow. Then the second period comes. You know who's a Pokemon that gets no respect? A guy who was so useful, I used him all the time. He won for me all the time, but no one ever talked about him. Diglett. And an opponent goes to attack him. Nope, I'm underground and now I'm attacking you and you lose. Guess what? Diglett wins. 2.5 minutes into the second period with his 5th of the season, Morgan Riley. There you go, buddy. Oh my goodness, did he need that one? The Leafs are up 2-0. Just 15 seconds later, Matt Hunwick puts it off the post, and who's in front to bury the rebound? Dude, Matt Martin punches it in, it's 3-0. Less than 4 minutes later, power play, Connor Q. Brown Merrill whacks it in, it's 4-0. And before the Rye horn, James Van Riemsdyk puts it right on target. It is 5-0 Leafs. Now, it's the Leafs. Oh, you don't get the Thunder badge just yet. You might screw this up. When they made it 5-0, a little tiny part of me went, well, they haven't coughed up a 5-goal lead yet. And 5-on-3. Oh, why'd you have that terrible thought? And here's what's gonna happen. Here's how it's gonna happen. The Leafs are gonna allow a goal because it's a 5-on-3, and of course, it's Tampa. They got Kucherov, and he's a murderer. And they're just gonna score on the power play, and then they have 4 to score in the third period, and that's no problem. Tampa's gonna tie it. They're gonna win it in the shootout because the hockey gods hate me. And then an amazing thing happened. Frederik Andersen turned into Snorlax! And on Tampa's 5-on-3 power play, for the rest of the second period, and for all of the third period, there wasn't a poke flute to be found. Look, the Leafs have not made Freddie's job easy this season, but even on nights where it's unfair, there are some times where you go, just make a stupid save! Goalies have very unreasonable, thankless jobs. But in this one, with save after save after save after difficult save, I gained faith in Freddie. I said, nuh-uh, they're not beating this guy tonight. Kucherov blasts right in the chest, and you see Kucherov go, ah! Jake Dotchin puts it on. Oh, that's not going in. By the way, that's the guy who hurt Kasperi Kapanen. A little bit of karma for you. And while Tampa did get their chances in this one, they had some pretty good ones, I did think that the Leafs helped limit the quality of them. Not their most immaculate defensive performance by any standard, but they did well enough to help Freddie get the shutout he deserved. And at the end of the game, a little shenanigans on Mitch Marner. And JVR comes in and says, oh, no, you don't, you bum, and he gets him out of there. That's what I want. That is what I've wanted from JVR all season, and he's done it at times with production, but sometimes with Mitch Marner there, you need JVR to be James Van Riem's dad. Good on JVR, good on Freddie, good on the Leafs. You earned your Thunder badge this time. Unfortunately, the NHL is a little different from Pokemon Blue. You're going to have to beat them again. You're going to have to beat a few teams again. Season's not done yet. You're in a playoff spot. It's a wonderful thing. But you gotta hold on to the thing, don't you? And why just hold on to the second wild card in the East? You can see the Bruins, they're right there. And I should mention before we go, Tyler Bozak playing in his 500th game in the NHL and as a Toronto Maple Leaf, which is incredible. Say what you want about him, he's been overrated over the years, he played a little too high in the lineup. The guy was a college free agent. And considering when he joined the Leafs, the fact that he has played 500 straight games with them without getting traded or shipped off to some kind of island or whatever, like that's a feat. So congrats. And now, Saturday night, the Chicago Blackhawks. The Leafs last wore their St. Pat's jerseys May 2nd, 2002. That was against the Buffalo Sabres. And everyone was like, oh, those jerseys were so cool and so retro. I never liked them. You want to know why? The Leafs didn't win that game. It was a tie. And I'm a little nuts, but if that was the only time that they wore the stupid things and they didn't win the game, the jersey, it was tainted for me. Now they got these wicked cool green jerseys and they got the Blackhawks on Saturday night. You know what would give me a lot more incentive to buy one? If you won in it. And you might be going, oh, it's the Blackhawks. Well, there's a playoff race, and they need it. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. Are you still in? And do you want to be the very best, like no one ever was?